Welcome to the Whaler Guys and Happy New Year from Jerry and Peter. The Whaler Guys, you guys are the brigade. We are one nation under green. Another year, Pete. Here we are at the world headquarters of the Whaler Guys and the Whalers Brigade. How was your New Year's?
It was very good. It was kind of low key. You know, we're all just laying in the wait for the NHL to return. You know, here we are another year, and we're saying, oh God, now we got to wait a whole another year. But
this could be it.
This could be it. You never know. You know, I'll tell you what. I'll give you. Here's one thing for sure. By the end of this year, the Wolfpack are either leaving or they're signing some big contract and sticking around. So here we are. We're finally within 12 months to know whether we get a new AHL team or some other team comes in here or something. So something's going to switch, you know, at the end of next season, whether it be the Wolfpack stay or, you know, they get another AHL team or an ECHL team or somebody comes in. But in general, UConn is still going to be here.
Yes, and you know, over the holiday break, Peter and I had some time to get out, see the Wolfpack as well as UConn play. Yeah. And it was nice. You know, you get the holiday season just it makes everything so fast, and then all of a sudden,
you turn around
before you know it's over.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, January 2nd, time to go back to work and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But you know, we saw some great hockey action. Tage Thompson and Adam Huska are playing for their respective countries in the juniors.
Making names.
Yeah, and yesterday, Tage Thompson had an assist when the U.S. beat Switzerland 3-2. He took a kind of a crappy penalty in the offensive zone where he hooked a guy.
Boy, does he take the penalties,
But let me tell you, why the ref's arm was up, he steamrolled this guy into just by the benches, and then the announcer saying that there's two refs with their arms up. I was like, he's not getting a double minor. I was like, oh great, he gets two penalties on one play, but he ended up only getting a hooking call, and it was a clean hit. He waffled the guy. It was quite good.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason is, and you see that sometimes in the Excel Center when Tage Thompson gets a penalty, he hits a guy, but he's such a big guy that when he hits the other guy gets
picking on him.
Yeah, they think like, oh, that was a little rough. Well, you know, Tage Thompson's a big guy.
He is
6'4". But you know, UConn, of course, is without those two guys.
Yes, and they just played in the Desert Classic out in Arizona.
There's nothing like ice hockey in the desert.
And we're big fans of it.
Did they get the sand off the ice all right?
I don't know.
You use a blower for that? How would you get, you know?
Where are they playing?
Tempe. It's a hotbed for hockey, literally. Anyway, so let's talk a little about that. So the Desert Classic, which, you know, UConn really does need to get. I mean, no offense, they need to get into a better tournament. This is kind of like, you know, it's like the you know, the Detroit City Toilet Bowl. I mean, it's but
they did play St. Cloud, and St. Cloud is a good
no. Good teams,
right?
Yeah,
they
good
were
teams.
18th in the country, and they ended up beating them.
Yeah, Desert Classic just doesn't, you know, scream like fast ice. It's kind of at all. It's like they threw the sand down on the ice to slow people down.
Exactly.
You know. Anyway, but hey, they're in Tempe now. They've done that for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. And I did read, you know, they hadn't won a tournament since 2003, 2004.
Wow.
So for Matt Cavanaugh, the coach of UConn, this was a big thing because he said, you know, one of the 3 things he wanted to do was to graduate players, make the players better, you know, men, and win tournaments. So he's got that finally, that first piece.
Took him to the desert.
Yeah, they took him to the desert, and you know what? I mean, I'm kidding a little bit, but it's great to win a tournament. Especially the way they did, because they were really shorthanded, as we talked about. They didn't have Tage Thompson. They did not have Adam Huska. And it gave Rob Nichols, the senior, who's like the old man on this team, and you know, he's like probably only 23 years old, but he's the old goalie came out, and anyway, but Rob Nichols stopped 48 of 52 shots to secure the tournament. Now they beat, as you said, St. Cloud, who was ranked number 18 in the country, and they beat a Brown team, which is a bit underachieving. They're like 3-10-1, I think is their record overall. However, Brown got out to lead first. They take a 1-0 lead. And then UConn came back and won 4-1 actually. 4-1, and the defense was stout for UConn. They held Brown to only 16 shots.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible.
You know, and you look at Rob Nichols, and you know he needed some boosting because you know Huska's been playing quite a bit.
Yeah.
But to have Nichols have 2 good games is very important.
Sure.
Moving forward in the second half of the season, and that's one of the notes I made is, you know, what can we look for in the second half of the season? We have a new addition with Nyberg.
Philip Nyberg.
6'4" defenseman.
6'4" defense freshman. Drafted by Buffalo.
From Sweden, I believe.
Yeah, drafted by Buffalo in the 5th round. So, you know, UConn's got 2 or 3 players now that are NHL draftees.
Yes.
And they certainly could. They can always use help on defense as well as offense. And those 2 games in the desert gave them, like I said, it gave them some. I don't know what the right word is. I'm trying to find the word. It gave them a chance to battle because they were down their, arguably their best goaltender and their best player.
Right.
And if you notice, Spencer Nass, who has always been a good offensive player for UConn, it seems like when Tage Thompson's out, he gets the chance to perform and step up.
Yep.
So he had a goal and assist in the Brown win. If you remember last time Tage Thompson was out, I think he had a 1-game suspension and an AIC game way back, I think it was in October. And they didn't win that game, but Spencer Nass came out and scored a goal in that game and got an assist, I think, too. So, it's great that they have somebody who can step up when they are losing their best player, because you never know with injuries where we're going to go the rest of the season. But by far, I think the most impressive stat.
Don't talk about injuries.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I know.
It happens. You got to be prepared.
If
we talk about it, it won't happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. Okay, it's like bring your umbrella. It won't rain.
Yeah, there you go.
Tonight.
Yeah, well, hey, tonight's not a good night. It's a deluge out there. But this is the first time that I can recall, especially in the last 3 years, UConn's in Hockey East. They have a 8-6 and 6 record overall, and they're 4-3-2 in Hockey East. They have an above 500. They're tied with Boston University. It's 6th place in the Hockey East. So,
and they're only 7 points out of first.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, nobody's going to say they're going to run tables.
Boston College is 17 points. And
and they got 10.
UConn and Boston University are 10.
Yeah.
So they're not that far out of it, and that's what makes this really, really intriguing for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And as hockey fans and as UConn hockey fans, everyone should get down there and watch the games and cheer them on, because I think, coming out of the Desert Classic and winning some hardware, coming back, this could be a big self-esteem boost for the club.
Yeah, I think what they should do is, for this Desert Classic, all teams should play without water. Because then you feel like, hey, there's no water, we're in the desert, you got to win this game, and people will be licking the ice. You think? That would be bad, get some tongue stuck in the ice? Nah, we don't want that. But, hey, so they come back this Saturday, January 7th. UConn's going to play Yale at the XL Center, and we're hearing,
that's a home and home. No, I'm sorry, Yale.
Yeah.
Yale is 7th. Then on the 14th, the 12th, they play down at Bridgeport.
That's right.
Against Maine.
Yeah.
And then they head up to Fenway for the 14th.
Yes.
At the Frozen Fenway. And tickets are still available for that.
They are.
So
we don't need tickets because we got media passes.
We're going.
Can you believe that? Hockey East thinks that we're credible enough.
We're credible.
That
we're incredible.
Well, I mean, I didn't even have to twist any arms. I said to Hockey East, I said, we have this TV show. We have a lot of Whaler fans. They love UConn. We're all about UConn. We get into UConn, and it's exciting. And he said, sure, come on up.
So that's impressive.
That is. I mean, we kind of do this TV show, and we don't take ourselves too seriously.
No, we try not
to.
But,
some people are. Once again, sorry for that Desert Classic crack. But, I was talking about. Yeah, that was a bad crack. But anyway, so them going up and doing a Frozen Four, it'll be interesting to see how many Whaler jerseys we see in the audience, and also how is UConn going to travel? Are fans going to go up to Fenway and see this game against Maine? January 14th. I think it's an afternoon game. There's nothing like an outdoor game, especially in a monumental park like Fenway Park.
I mean, it's
history. A cradle of American baseball.
It is.
I don't really root for them when they play.
But you're like me. You enjoy the history behind.
Oh yeah.
It's like going to Wrigley Field.
Sure.
It's like going to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Yankees, but I think Yankee Stadium is a great place to see a baseball game.
When it existed. Yeah.
Well, and now you have.
Now you got this new thing, and it's got no history behind it.
Yeah. So when you look at what we're doing, and I forgive me for looking at my phone,
we're checking to see if you guys are talking to us because this is a live show. So
we want you guys to say something.
Yeah.
Now,
if you get a question, we're going to say it right now. So,
but
if you're watching this, go ahead and type in a question.
Yeah. Come on.
It could be anything. Like, who dresses you guys?
And then the other, our wives. Yeah. But the other thing is, looking at the schedule from the holiday break, the 28th, Colorado beat Merrimack 3-0, and that's good for us. That's another loss for Merrimack.
Yeah.
Then Merrimack turned around and won 4-2 against Northern Michigan. Quinnipiac beat Boston College 3-1.
Wow.
That's a big hit.
Quinnipiac is deadly.
They are.
Yeah.
And then UMass won 3-2 against Colgate. Ferris State and Boston College tied at 1.
Yeah.
Alabama, Huntsville, and University of Massachusetts 2-1 in overtime. Massachusetts winning that one.
Yeah.
Connecticut 4-3 over St. Cloud. Northeastern 8-2 over Clarkson.
Wow.
And then New Hampshire 6-4 over Maine. Providence 2-2 overtime in Denver.
Yeah.
And then that was on Friday the 30th. Vermont 7-1 against Bentley. And then 3-1 against Bentley the next day. Notre Dame 5-0 against Alaska. 3-1 Providence at Denver. Connecticut 4-1 against Brown. Dartmouth loses to UMass Lowell 7-4.
Yeah.
And Minnesota beats Massachusetts 4-1. And then on New Year's Day, Notre Dame beat Alaska 4-0.
Boy,
so
Alaska not getting many points, not getting many goals. Huh?
No.
So Notre Dame's a good team, though. I mean, that's the one that one of UConn's signature wins.
We split with those.
Yeah, it's UConn's one of UConn's signature wins this season is against Notre Dame. And when you think about the UConn's game in that Desert Classic, you kind of more impressed with not the final game of the Classic, but them beating St. Cloud. A team that's ranked 18th in the nation, and they had to do it 4-3, and it was a tight game, but they were able to do it, and without really, arguably their two best players. So, that's a good positive step. We want them to build on that. You got the new defenseman. They'll start this Saturday. I mean, the Yale game's going to be a tough game.
It's a 3:05 start at the XL Center, remember, and it's important because there's probably going to be a decent crowd. Right now, they're saying about 5,000.
Yeah, it could be 5 to 6K.
And remember,
right now,
they're down in Hamden and New Haven to bring the Yale people up.
Yeah.
And that's not a long trip. That's 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a good crowd. So if you're going to get there early, have some lunch at one of the area restaurants, support the small businesses in Hartford and get up there because that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't make it.
That's a bummer.
I know. But, hey, listen, you got to pay the bills.
Yeah, you got to pay the bills. And, that should be a good game. And it's not a conference, a Hockey East conference game for UConn, but at the same time, to keep that momentum going. Because if they want to keep a home playoff game, they have to stay in that top 7. They're 6 right now, as we said. And, we'll just have to see how things progress. And, starting off right away, January 7th, who do you think is going to go with the net? Well, Huska's not going to be there.
No, Huska's
so he's
not
got to go with
yet.
Nichols then.
Yep, Nichols.
Do we know when Huska and when does that tournament end for the
Well, the finals are against Russia.
Yeah.
It's coming up. It's got to be tomorrow night.
Yeah. So they may be back by the Fenway game.
Yes.
If at the latest. So we'll have to look at that. But of course, let's talk about some of the over the holiday. The NHL has been very busy, obviously. I mean, one of the top stories in the NHL is just how John Tortorella has taken this Columbus team and turned them into a dynamo. And I'll tell you what, it's great now, but it's just like a storm, It starts up, and this is like the apex of it. It's all killer. But after a season or two, I think players get tired of Tortorella yelling at them, and they're kind of like,
you know what?
2 years ago?
You always say that about Tortorella. I think he's a tell-it-like-it-is guy.
His third team.
It doesn't matter.
After a while, it wears off.
Well, it wears off, but you know what?
Yeah.
This club and him are clicking.
They are.
And
they're
so
deadly right now.
I think Tortorella, with the other teams that he's coached, just didn't have that click. And these guys are paying attention to him, and it shows that he's a decent coach because he's getting things done.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
It's just his public relations rep must have sleepless nights. I mean, the guy. I love him because I'm that type of guy. I'm a tell-it-like-it-is guy.
It's his 4th team, actually. I was wrong. It's his 4th team.
You had the Rangers.
Yeah.
You had Florida.
No.
Vancouver. I'm sorry, Vancouver.
Yeah.
You had Columbus, and who else?
Tampa won a cup.
That's right.
That's how he got this whole thing. So yeah, he did. You can't. There's no argument really from him there. He's a great coach in that everywhere he's gone. Well, you could say Vancouver's a little iffy, but he gets those players to play for him.
He ticked off Luongo because he benched him for the Winter Classic. Remember that? Yeah. That's awesome.
He does. I mean, he's a little bit of a firecracker, but if you get the players to play, and I'll tell you what, to be honest, I say that in a year or two, maybe Columbus will be like, we're tired of getting yelled at Tortorella. If they win a cup this year, then it doesn't matter. You know what? Let them fizzle out.
It's also like
you would take the cup this year.
Oh, sure.
And let things be that as they may.
And the funny thing was when you get into Columbus was one of those teams that they thought would relocate because of some attendance issues. Well, the last couple of years, they don't have any attendance issues. They're doing rather well.
Although they should still come to Hartford. But anyway.
We'll take anyone.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. We shouldn't say that because, like we've discussed off air, we've always said it, that, hey, listen, we don't want someone else's debt. So we don't want a lemon. We want a team that can sustain itself.
Yeah,
And
keep your stuff together.
yeah. So
You know?
we'll have to see.
But I mean, beggars can't be choosers at the same time. But
I know.
But it's the same thing. It's like, hey, you want a car? You know, you're dying for a car. You don't have a car, and then someone
Exactly.
hands you something, and it doesing run, and it's you're like, well, I wanted a car, but I didn't want.
I didn't want this car.
I didn't want a monument or a rock. With the NHL, and we saw now there's a Winter Classic and the Heritage Classic.
Right. You have the one in Canada, and you have the one in the.
Oh, because that's the difference.
Yes.
I never even took the time to figure.
Yes.
So the Winter
No, that's-
Classic is American.
Yes.
And the Heritage Classic is the Canadian.
Correct. Yes.
Where the game is held.
Yes. So
all right.
when you look at the two, and I really enjoyed watching the Heritage Classic in the beginning because Gary Roberts of the Maple Leafs got into a scrap with I forgot who it was now.
I think
I
I
can
saw
picture
that.
him. Was
Yeah.
it? I can't think of it. That's an alumni game.
Oh, it was Chris Draper.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there saying, this is an alumni game. This is fun.
I know, but
it shows their competitive side
it
still.
was. I saw it. It was funny because it was Gary. Now, didn't Gary Roberts play for the Whalers for like half a second at the end of '97? I think he did.
Really?
Maybe
I
someone
don't
else.
remember him.
Anyway, but I saw him hit Draper. Or Chris.
It really wasn't a hit.
It really wasn't that bad, but it was funny when they're going back and forth.
Yep.
Like the play takes off and you see whack,
Smack,
slash,
smack, yep.
slash. They're just.
That was a riot.
That would have been funny if they dropped the gloves and just went at it.
I think the
that's
ref
hockey.
would be like, "Whoa, what the hell's going on?"
I know.
The other thing is when we talk about that, you talk about the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
And that's another club that was. I think they were at 12 wins.
Yeah.
12 in a row.
That's
so
great.
You had two.
Midwest teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you had another team, I think it was the Oilers at the time, had 7 or 8 wins in a row.
Yeah.
So you're looking at potentially the Blue Jackets are at 15 wins in a row. They could tie the Penguins for the longest streak, which was
17, right?
20. 17 is the record.
Yeah.
And that was 2012, 2013, or 2013,
Really?
2014.
Is that recent? Wow.
Yes. So this is a big deal not only for hockey, but also for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to have that. Like I said, I like it when you get a little parity in the NHL, as you would in the NFL, MLB, and NBA. A team coming out of nowhere that you weren't. I mean, having a Columbus.
Who would bet on a Columbus Blue Jackets at the beginning of the season? Really?
Nobody.
And
even
then
with Yellarella.
And Tortorella took over. Was it last season?
I think he started. Yeah, I think he started last season.
And so to have him have a pretty good run at the end of the season, but disappointed because they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I believe John Davidson spoke about that.
Yeah.
Because he's the GM and president.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Or the president. I forgot. GM or president. And they were upset they didn't make the playoffs. And then Tortorella comes in this year, and he has a club that's really clicking. So I feel good for them. That's one of the clubs that I really don't feel bad about being in the NHL. When you get in the Sun Belt and you get into the West Coast desert, they don't belong. I mean, no disrespect if you like those teams, that's your team. Support them or else we'll take them. And I won't feel bad. No. People say, you feel bad? No, I don't feel bad.
No.
So the other thing we have to look at is, we talked about what happens around the league, and this guy, Halleck, is assigned to Bridgeport.
Yeah.
The big sign for the Islanders, which was back last 2014, they signed him to a huge contract. And he's played 106 games, and all of a sudden the coach is like, no, you're going down.
Yeah.
You're going down. It's almost, and I'd be really irritated if I was an Islander fan, when Rick DiPietro signed that huge contract. Next thing you know, he's hurt, and I can't play anymore, and this, that, the other. And they spent, what, $30 million on the guy?
Oh, I know. I don't know. It's such a weird contract, too. And now it's the same thing here, because they gave, what you said, they gave Halleck a 2-year deal, I think, last year?
No, 4-year. He agreed to a 4-year contract with the team. Yeah. And he's played 106 games with the Islanders since agreeing to the 4-year contract.
Yeah. Well,
I'd love to see the numbers on that one.
Yeah,
that's a whole lot of cash.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, at least they're not having trouble goaltending as much as Carolina is, where they have to put in a equipment manager.
That's right. Yep. And he did. I forgot the guy's name, but he got off the bench with 7.6. Alves. Yeah. And saw my friend Bob Gorman. He was handing him his mask, and
it's a great honor.
I think it's great. He was a minor league goaltender, and he played with 7.6 seconds, so he has a game under his belt.
Yeah, and he actually gets on the box score.
Yes, he does. He gave up no shots on goal, didn't give up a goal, And it was funny, they were interviewing him after the game, and he goes, yeah, the puck went to the puck was down the other end, and the puck went to the corner. He says, just stay in the corner, just stay in the corner. Yeah, and you could see that Carolina was losing anyways. They're 4-2, and they kind of just pushed to the corner and all bundled up there, and the horn went off, and he skated off, and the guys came over and patted him on his head.
Hey, he did
his
his
good
job.
for him.
He did his job. You know?
Yep.
So, you know, and we've talked about Carolina. It's had some ice issues, and we talked about the Islanders earlier in the year.
That was against Detroit.
That was, and they had to reschedule that game to March 27th, I think, which was tough to do, to reschedule that game. But it's so funny, you know, it's ironic that we get in these situations, and no one else in the world knows this. But the XL Center is going to have better ice than 2 NHL teams already, and you know those guys are up to their ankles in ice. I mean, it's slush.
It's almost
you know?
water.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you going to do? But you know, it just cracks me up because here's an issue again with the NHL, and here's Hartford, you know, ready to be a solution.
Well, we did find out that the cause of it was that the ice machine did break down.
Okay.
So they had to repair it, but in the process of repairing the ice machine, it started to melt the ice.
Yeah.
So in order to get the ice back up to temperature and create a safe playing surface, it just didn't happen in time, and that's why they had to cancel that
you can't risk injury on that,
Oh, no, because you're dealing with multi-million-dollar, kind of like this goaltender here. You don't want him to get hurt. No, he had to go to Bridgeport because the Islanders don't have good ice. Maybe that could have been his excuse. I can't play in New York.
He said, hey, Bridgeport's got better ice than Barclays Center.
I'll have a better goals against average.
Seriously.
I did go to a game the other night, and I will say it was my first trip to Bridgeport to see a hockey game, and I had a really, really good time. I took my wife. She actually wanted to go with me. And we had good seats right in the corner of one of the ends, and there's probably about 2,000 people. It was the 28th of December, so it was after a holiday. I figured there'd be more people because, you know, kids are off from school, and they could all come to the game. But no, probably just about, maybe even a little less than 2,000. Springfield and Bridgeport, and I will tell you, it was one of the better AHL games that I have seen in a long time.
Yeah, you said
they hated each other.
Yeah, you said there was a couple.
There was some good scraps.
Actually, someone threw a punch and got in fights.
Not only a punch, it was a physical game.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys hit a guy up high, and he got a 5-minute major and a game misconduct.
Wow.
So he was kicked out of the game. He was high with the stick.
Yeah.
And then a couple lights later, I listened to the Wolfpack and Springfield. Up in Springfield, Bob Crawford, the Hawk, did the radio broadcast on 1410 WPOP. And you know, Bob Crawford is a great radio play-by-play guy. He does. He's a top-notch professional, and he does a very good job. And it was really enjoyable because I don't have a chance to listen to the Wolfpack because we're usually at the game. But I was working, and I was able to listen to it, and I thought, geez, this is awesome. You know, I listen to UConn, whether it's hockey or basketball, men's or women's, if I'm working late and I turn on the radio in the car. And, you know, Bob Joyce, I really enjoy listening to. Jody, a little too much sometimes. He's a little loud. But he's both of them very good radio announcers on the IMG network, the UConn IMG network. But Bob Crawford, a lot of fun to listen to. He did a great job. I really enjoyed it. And Springfield brought their A game again. Yeah. And I must say, they were hitting. It was a very, very physical game, and they brought it right from Bridgeport because I'm going to see Springfield play when they play the Wolfpack because you know what? These guys have a pair.
Boy, if the Wolfpack can get some fight in their game, that would be fun, but they don't.
I think the last time I saw them, they really there's a whole different brand of hockey with the Wolfpack this year. And, you know, they need to be more physical. I don't know if they're
too light and fast.
Yeah, I mean, they're a fast team, but they need, I think, and I'm not a coach by any means, they have to be more physical. You come into your house, let's whack them, you know? Yeah. So, well, that's about it for tonight. Yeah. We appreciate everyone watching us and continuing to support the Whaler guys, the Whalers Brigade, and our mission to bring the NHL back to Hartford. Remember, from Hamden to Hartford.